Okay, so we are gonna do updated videos. We're gonna still be doing our live stream, um, but just to keep it warm, we're gonna start to get some other videos up, so you don't have to watch 10 hours of video just to see what we got accomplished for the day. But I do want to just do a quick walk around. So what we're going to end up doing today is we're going to be cutting off the strut towers, cutting off the cross member, maybe. More than likely we will be cutting it. And just welding a piece of 2x3 tubing in. We're going to not, probably today we'll end up going right here to here and just do some 1x1 tubing and the same thing back there. Just right before the hump, do 1x1 to 1x1. The frame is completely rotten after the hump, so what we're going to do is we're going to pull the cab up, level it, and then pull the bed up and level it with the cab. Get it set on stands. Then we're going to do the frame underneath so we can measure off the cab and where we need to be, because we will be body dropping the cab. So when we got the truck, instead of the bed line being lined up here to here, it was lined up on the bottom. So the bed was already body dropped. And we are going to leave it with our new suspension setup. But what we're going to do is, instead of raising the bed to match it, we are going to body drop the cab to match it. Which will give us, we have a huge fender well gap here with our little front wheels. So we're going to try to close that up some and get our center of gravity a little bit lower. We're very concerned about doing wheelies. By the way, these are the wheels we'll be running for our race in December. I won't have the funds to order new ones until after the new year. So we're going to be running those, which are 15x14 with these tires, the 28-10-5, so we can go run small tire. We got some work to do to them. Somebody screwed in old school screws to keep the beads locked, and we're going to be welding them shut because they're leaking air like a mofo. We got most of the cage done. This thing will focus. I'm on my iPad. Still got a lot to do. We're going to clean up some of the welds. There was a lot of old pipes, so I probably should have cleaned it up, but just to make sure, we welded one small pin weld and then welded over it twice, just to make sure. And honestly, with the cage, I don't care if the welds are, or if I would have left the first weld, it would have been nice and neat. But I big safety guy when it comes to cages. I've seen guys roll cars 30 times in a street race and walk out, and that's the difference. We still have the rear cage bars to do, and we're going to do front frame tie-ins also. I just want to get the frame set where we're going first before I weld them in, otherwise we'll be working backwards. But so we'll be cutting them off. We'll be using all the tubular control arm set off my 67. A lot of people that don't know, that have been watching, we had a family issue where I'm missing probably a little over $10,000 in parts I had stored here while I wasn't here. I've been laid off since March, so I've been nickel and diming and getting my family through. And doing some work on the side, working out of the other garage, and pretty much we've been paying our bills, and then everything else I had left over from doing side work, from doing roll cages and chassis work and stuff, we've been just buying parts and accumulating them. So we came here to try to get the car together to go to this race in December, and we found out that all the stuff was stolen, and now I don't want to, my Eleanor kit. I don't want to rush the Mustang, so it's kind of just going to be sitting where it's sitting until I reaccumulate the funds and the parts, because this is always been a dream car of mine. And as far as it is, because we spent months and months and months and just barely got into fixing what the previous owner tried to do. But I just don't want to rush it. We want to make sure it's done right. So we came across this Courier that had a Windsor in it and thought, wow, that was really cool. It's supposed to have a 70 motor in it, had a big tire on it. It would have been great. We were planning on just freshening up the motor, Head studding it, putting some aluminum heads on it, good intake, good single plane intake, and throwing a bunch of nitrous at it and going to this race. I'm having a good time, but we were under the impression the motor was a 70 and it was a 72. And for those of you that don't follow old Ford small blocks, which they're fairly new to me, I've always done Chevy stuff just because it's so much cheaper. But 72 is when the block started getting weaker. So we went from maybe squeezing 800 horsepower to about 600 horsepower. And ideally, we were going to spray to around 1200 horsepower. Maybe not every pass, but we were going to run a 300 and then a 200 on a scatter. With aluminum heads and a good rotating assembly, which it is 30 over. Nice little dome piston. If we were going to do that, we probably would have been 600 or so on the motor. 300 would put us at 900. Then another 250 will put us at 1150, which would be on a scatter, so we wouldn't always be using that, but we would still probably been up at around that 900 mark. I think 900 is golden. I think if we leave on 900, 800 with this suspension setup, as long as we have time to get it dialed in, we will make it work. But, that suggests we are keeping the stock dash. We're putting the heater controls in. Obviously, none of it's hooked up anymore. We are using the original gauge cluster, but with our gauges. And the radio is not staying. We are doing a 10-inch screen, touchscreen, Android unit. As far as motor, we are doing a 5.3 iron block, stock everything. It's a Gen 3 block. We're using 24X crank, Gen 4 rods, and Gen 3 4/8 pistons, which are also Gen 4 5.3 pistons. We've got a few spare aluminums. They've all got hairline cracks. I didn't trust them. We're going to see if we can't get them repaired and save them for next season. But the more I thought about it, the more I didn't want to use an aluminum block because we want to try to keep some weight up front to keep the wheels down. We are worried wheeling is going to be a problem. And for everyone who's done a wheelie knows, wheeling is only cool until you do one. After that, you understand how much it costs. But we're going to try to get the frame and the suspension finished up today. Then we'll finish up the roll cage hopefully the next day or two. I got to go get some more roll cage tubing. This is a 5.3 aluminum block that is 100% empty. It's got bare heads, no crank cam, piston rods, nothing. Just to use for mock-up. And then we have an empty 400 case that we will be using for mock-up also. That way we can start getting it done. We can leave that in there for the time being. I've got some Weldon LS mounts. But once we get that fabbed up, we'll figure out what the hell we're doing with our steering. I don't know if any other courier guys are going to be watching this that do a lot of aftermarket stuff, but I was going to use the rack out of the Mustang because it's already set up for them control arms, but it looks like it's way too wide. So we've got to figure that out. I really don't want to keep that stock junky steering. Most of the ball joints and stuff in there are shot, and I don't want to be chasing down parts for that. And I would feel much better with the rack in it. But that's kind of where we're at. We are a huge mess. We're just trying to slam things together. I've been digging through what parts we have left just to see what I have left. Just because we have no idea. We're not 100% sure yet on what's been stolen, what's not been stolen, and how much stuff we have left. We are going to attempt to mold this 6-inch cowl on the Courier as well and do it a windshield mount just like this. We'll see if we have time before we go, but I think the engine will fit. As of now, we are just using a stock truck intake, so we'll see how it goes. We got some good guys that are helping us. I've had a lot of falling out with a lot of people over the last year over some dumb drama, and I'm kind of really just at the point in my life where it's just easier to cut them off. Didn't really need them. I miss some of my friends, but at what point is it worth it to keep them as a friend when they're causing more headache and harm than good? So we've got a real small circle. It's been real great. A lot of support. My buddy Dan Clark really helping me out, giving me some loaner turbo parts to take in December so we can go because his motor won't be done. My buddy Chris and Jerry was in a pretty bad bike accident on my bike, and he's okay now, but he severed his foot, and we've got it attached, and it's looking like it can be the best it can be given the situation. Huge supporter though. When I get frustrated and need to make a decision because we're on a huge time crunch, you know, I call him and he talks me through it and helps me figure out the logical solution. He's very clear-headed, real old school guy. Great dude though. And I got my boy Chris is the same way. Offers a lot of knowledge and stuff, and also Chris will be towing the truck down so he can take his nice new Duramax rather than my Cummins, because my Cummins is having some trans issues and I don't think we're going to get it replaced and finish this, so that takes a lot off my plate that I don't have to worry about before we go. But he's real big in the racing. He was a huge help with me when we were buying my daughter's junior dragster, because his kids, a bunch of his kids race. He's got a ton of kids, but a bunch of them race, and he was so helpful. Still to this day with all my junior stuff and small engine stuff, and even with this kind of stuff, he's been around racing a long time. Another older dude, and you know, now that I'm getting older, I'm 32. For those that don't know, now that I'm getting older, I'm starting to understand that you do actually retain some knowledge as you get older, and I don't think I'll ever admit that to my dad, but it is very much the case, and you know, we're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done. It's gonna be hell. We got a lot of late nights ahead of us. My boy Kevin Fowler. When I was young, he was one of the people that kept me in the racing and kept me out of trouble. And for those of you who do actually know me, know I got into a ton of trouble still, but I never lost the passion for this. But that's a quick update, a long 12-minute update, but that's where we're at. So we're going to do a bunch of these shorter videos, and we'll still keep the live stream going. I see a lot of people checking in every now and then, which is cool. We don't expect everybody to sit there and watch 5 hours of live feed, but you know, it's cool. We'll keep this stuff going and keep everything updated as we slowly but surely progress. Thanks for watching, guys. If you can, like and subscribe. We're trying to get as many followers as we can, and it makes a difference. If we get up to 50 from 45, we are ecstatic in here. People don't even know. We are ecstatic just to have a few people follow, because this has been a long, bumpy road, and we're not even halfway there yet. But we'll keep you updated. Thanks for watching, guys.